Live episode of Content in Commerce. Today I have my esteemed panel members, David Arago, Isaac Morey, and myself, Brent Peterson, and we are here to talk about the content supply chain and AEO. Isaac, let's start it off. Tell us what AEO is, and it's not like a farm rhyme thing, right?
Yeah, you've really been hammering home the AEIO U vowel mashup, but really it's similar to SEO, which is search engine optimization. AEO is answer engine optimization. So it's all about optimizing your website and your content so that it has the highest visibility possible on answer engines, which is a term that encompasses AI tools like ChatGPT or Gemini, and also voice search tools, which kind of run on a similar logic. So there's a few different elements to this, which we can get into, and I'm sure you'll have some more questions about. But basically, one huge part of it is going to be the actual content and making sure that you're providing answers to common questions. And then another part is going to be technical optimization, which is making sure that your content is presented in a way that's friendly to these types of technologies, similar to how you want your content to be friendly towards search engines.
That's great. And I know, David, you sent me an article last night. Well, my last night at 1 a.m. You're like 1 a.m. is like what, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. for you? That's pretty early, but no,
It's
8 a.m. 8
8
a.m. Yeah.
a.m.
Tell us some of the things. Just give us the highlights of what you've been discovering as you're going along.
Well, I think something that is kind of like SEO is like content is king. I guess that's what they say. Still, content is all about content, right? And now we talked about SEO where Google was saying that keywords, the whole keyword stuffing, it wasn't good for ratings. Well, it seems that now it's a little bit more important to have keywords that are relevant to your content. So it's I'm still learning about it. So I don't wanna mislead anybody in any of what I'm saying, but it's kind of like it's just SEO with extra. What would you say, Isaac?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good way to look at it. I also will say that it does open up a lot more possibilities. And if you look at the way Google responds right now, Google is giving us question and answers at the very top, sometimes above the paid, the sponsored. Not anymore right now, but every once in a while you'll see those coming back. And so, Isaac, go ahead and give us some more insights on that.
Yeah, I think that's definitely a really important aspect of AEO is that even traditional search engines like Google are really pushing their AI answer technology very hard. Like you said, that often comes ahead of the organic results and sometimes even above the paid results, which shows you how much they care about it. So, um, it's going to become increasingly important and represent an increasingly large amount of traffic. So paying attention to the things that these, AI technologies are looking for when they decide what to use as a source or what to promote is, yeah, incredibly important. And David mentioned how in the early days of SEO, things like keyword stuffing could really get you ahead. And I do think in some ways we're in a similar era where it's a new thing to be optimizing for answer engines. And sometimes there are like rather simple, straightforward things that can help you quite a bit. And definitely, hitting your keywords is always going to be important. Another thing that's worth paying attention to is your structured data. So things like making sure your FAQs are tagged as FAQs, your products are tagged as products. Um, you know, there's lots of different categories you can tag things in the microdata or in the JSON, and these do seem to have an impact in how answer engines are able to crawl and recognize and understand what's on your page. So that's one tip that is definitely worth paying attention to. And if it's something that you're behind on in your site, it's definitely an area that could provide some, relatively low-hanging fruit in terms of ROI and promoting your message to things like ChatGPT.
So one thing that I didn't tell anybody in the green room that we're going to be doing, is some experiments, right? So last week we talked. The last time we did this, I don't remember. Whatever the last time we did this episode, we talked about. I changed my my newsletter and I made it the Agentic Commerce guy. Sorry, and I'm working on ways that I can get that found by LLMs and other things. So I think the next experiment that I would like to try is some of these things that we've been talking about on Content Cucumber, is encoding some of those items and making sure that we're creating content that is answering people's questions, because I think that's the most important part. When you say, "Hey Alexa, how do I make a paella?" Or whatever, they're going to come back. They're going to go and search and have that in their index, and they're going to help us find something. So this is not just about LLMs. It's about all of the ways that the search engines find content through voice, through ChatGPT, and through the traditional way of search engine optimization. So I think that we're going to be trying some of these experiments, and we'll publish the results of these experiments and see how well they perform.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
David, what are you seeing in the year? Do you see any differences? I know that they have GDPR. There's a lot more stricter formats for content in Europe. Do you see big differences just from a user standpoint?
But to be honest, I go to US websites more than uh, European websites. But pretty much what it is that they're so strict here about data privacy that it's a whole business. Here is a whole business to make sure that you are compliant, because if you are not, the fines are pretty significant, right? Um, so with content, I to be honest, I couldn't tell you. Like I say, I use more than anything US websites for now. So I don't know. I'm not sure, Brent.
I think one thing you had mentioned earlier when we were together in person is that some U.S. companies will put explicit
Yeah,
um, language that says this website is only for use in the United States, and that
that's right.
the
That's right.
it might or might not get past the lawyers, but
That's
if
right.
it's a
But I think that California now is implementing, or was thinking about implementing a stronger laws about that. So that's what they did at the time when I used to work at the broadcasting company. The lawyers met and they say, "Don't worry about that. Just put a warning saying that this is not intended for outside the U.S." Whether that was enough or no, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah,
Isaac, we've been talking about humans and how humans are important in this whole content supply chain. One of the things that we see happening when a user or a merchant or entrepreneur depends 100% on their creation with ChatGPT is sort of a watered down version of their message. How do you how do you recommend somebody to, even if they're using ChatGPT, to have a filter on that's a human that reads it? What are your kind of guidelines around that?
Yeah, so I think if you're using 100% AI, well, let's back up. I think 100% AI is not even really possible, because at the very least you have to be setting up some kind of prompt and guiding, what's actually coming out. But from there, we could get a lot more in depth. For one, you could be writing your prompts in 10 seconds or with an hour of careful attention and refining. And, obviously, I think the more you put into carefully describing and thinking about what you want to get out of your AI tool, the better the content is going to be. And then on the back end as well, when you're reviewing and editing and hopefully critically thinking about what the AI has given you, you can also refine it to be better. And I think the more human input you give it, it's going to be like better quality control just in terms of facts and flow of the writing and not having 10 gazillion M dashes in it. But also it can have more of your personal touch and show what's really unique and special about your brand. And when I think about companies that are over reliant on AI for their content, that's one of the key things that's going to be missing is, what separates your dog food brand from every other dog food out there, what separates your guitars from every other guitar out there, or whatever people are buying. If you're just prompting it on general information about dog food or about guitars, then there's not going to be, it's not going to highlight the special attention and care that you put into every serving of your organic dog food, or the cool, unique tone that your guitars get, or whatever the case might be. Whereas if you're putting more attention into your content, or better yet, just having a human write it based on actual company information and documents, it's going to convey to your audience more accurately and more precisely and more persuasively the message that you actually have. So that's, I think, one of the main arguments against using AI in your content, and at the very least, a very strong argument for paying close attention both to your prompts and to your editing when you do use AI, to make sure that the message you actually want to share is coming across.
What do you think about the process of the way I use it? And I don't know if it's the right way or no. Is that I'm not a writer, I'm a developer, so English, for example, is not my native language, as you can tell.
What?
So yes, believe it or not. So the way I use it is that I write an article, right? I write about something that interests me. I include some anecdote, some personal experience. And then what I use AI that I think is saving me a lot of time is to, after, right? After, analyze the text. Tell me, do basic stuff, For years, it took, when I was speaking on the past, I always forgot the ed on verbs, right? That was always that you just couldn't get that. So I think now AI is helping me basic stuff, like like spell checking used to be. Just use it like a little extra spell check. Don't have them write it. Well, maybe if you want to describe M1 rifle, British M1 rifle, and the caliber and all that stuff, maybe you use it. Or if you want to describe a blender, just in the technical stuff, maybe, but then use it, how you use it, how it feels, and all that stuff. Probably that's where the human comes.
Yeah, I think it's a much better editor than writer. I think those are great uses for it, like catching awkwardly phrased sentences or spelling mistakes, or even just critiquing your finished article and saying like, what, here's an article I wrote about blenders, what am I overlooking? And then it's like, oh, why don't you add a section on smoothies? It's like, oh, great idea.
Yeah.
Or how can I use my M1 rifle to shoot my blender?
I was thinking about, I started with M1 and I didn't know where I was going. So
yeah, you should have said M1 Mac, or there's a BMW M1.
That's what I should have said.
Yeah, well, that's, you wouldn't want your AI to get confused. So that's why you have to edit carefully.
No, I think you both bring up great points, and Grammarly was that pre-AI tool that has helped us get. Actually, before that, even Microsoft Word had the red squiggles, right? So this is not new. I think Microsoft Word has had grammar built in for a number of years now. I would warn too that though, like I was a big Grammarly user. I use it less now, but Grammarly will often make your voice as vanilla as possible. A lot of times it moves things around and it wants to do things that are very standard. And the same thing will happen with AI when you're writing content. We don't have time today, but I've started to collect phrases that AI uses, and I think that the more and more phrases we see, the more and more we're going to recognize when somebody is creating content with AI and not thinking about how does it read. Is it in my voice? Because I read through all my stuff, even if I'm creating a blog post or a LinkedIn post. I'm generally reading through it and making sure I'm taking out all the AI garbage that's in there.
Yeah, one of the sentence structures that's really started to stand out to me is like blenders aren't just about making smoothies or salsas. They're about redefining your food or whatever. Like it's not about X, it's about Y. It's just like if once you see it, you can't unsee it. It's like in every paragraph of AI writing, unless you really specifically prompt it not to do that.
Yeah, also something that you have to be careful is the repetition, right? Sometimes AI may say the same thing several times in the text, but change slightly, right? But it's at the end of the day, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah, all right. So we have to wrap it up. But so as we wrap it up today, we're going to be back on the 22nd of September after Shop Talk next week. I think that's the right date. 2 weeks from today, which is the 25th of September. Sorry about that. 25th of September. And we'll be back talking more about our experiments. We encourage people to send us things and questions that they have about AEO and SEO, about AI. I'm a vibe coder, so if I'd love to talk about vibe coding, and I'm a big Claude user, so I'm a big Claude and a Claude user. So we'd love to hear about that. Final words, Isaac?
David?
I would say that AI is like alcohol. Use it, but don't abuse it.
All right. Good analogy. Isaac, what is yours? Is yours like a alcoholic reference as well?
It's like a smoothie. Don't if you overload any one ingredient, it's gonna be. If you put too much alcohol in it.
Obviously, Isaac, you are training for a marathon, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you are in the healthy mode.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.